Hey guys, Moses with Negron Tech here, and today I am bringing you my next build, and I think I might have cooked a little bit because not only did I come up with a super hipster build that's unique and on its own pretty damn good, but I actually think it's insanely strong. So what you're actually looking at, and let me lower the volume real quick. It's going to be an informal video. Today's my last day of work, and then I'll have some more days off, and then I'll do an actual pretty in-depth guide. But what you're seeing is void hammers. Now, this concept has been explored a lot. Normally, you're going to see this with smite. But what I don't like about smite and void hammers or any type of hammer build that utilizes smite is that the build is more of a spellcaster, right? I don't really like that. I want to be more of a pure void character that has the hammers dealing the majority of the damage, right? I didn't want to be utilizing hammers just to trigger smite. You know, it felt weird, and then it's also hard to recommend for some people because you might not have good idols. So then it's like, oh, I gotta wait on good idols, and then idols are kind of rare. Then I have to farm them, and if I don't get the good ones, then the build just doesn't feel good, right? So that's kind of why I didn't want to do it. And plus, it's just, that concept has already been explored. A lot of people have played that type of build. So I want to do something different. Now, what I'm doing is actually using Disintegrating Aura, which is going to give hammers the void tag, well, actually it doesn't give the damage over time, but it does get the void tag. And then what's going to happen is that our hammers are going to have an aura, and what it's going to do is going to do void damage over time. So we're no longer really worried about the physical portion of the hammer. We want to scale this, and we are a pure void knight. So if we're going to make a build purely focused on hammers and utilizing void, because I wanted to make a void knight, another big factor of this build is that I did not want to use sigils of hope. I absolutely hate builds that use it. It feels utterly terrible. The on-kill proc is too low. It feels like crap to play it, and it's just like, I hate trying to maintain stacks because, like, you don't really need the stacks during mapping, but even during bosses, like, it's such a huge mana sink. Damn it. Yeah, that's the base I need for my wand or my scepter. But sigils is such a huge damage increase and such a huge mana sink that when you don't have it up, you just feel like you're really not utilizing the full potential of the build, which is a big negative. So talking about Disintegrating Aura, it is void, so it scales with increases the void more. It is a damage over time, so it scales with increases the damage over time. And I think that's it. And then it also gets damage effectiveness from flat damage. Yes, so we got void, damage over time, and then any flat modifiers to flat damage that's going to be to our throwing attacks, increases the hammers. So any increases the hammers, I don't think I have it on my, my chest I have it. So if you have any increases the hammer damage on gear, hammer throw on gear, that will increase the aura damage. But that's not what I really want to focus on, because what's going to happen is that Void Knight has a lot of underutilized aspects, right? A lot of people don't want to make a Void Knight dot build because, well, there's not much to scale. What are we going to scale with Void Knight dot? It's kind of hard to really make a build focused purely on dots, even though Time Rot is really cool because Time Rot caps at 12 stacks, right? So that's a little bit tough because, like, wait a second, how are we going to really scale it when we only have one ailment? But there is something that a lot of people don't utilize when it comes to Void Knight, or maybe they do, I don't know. I don't really know the meta. I hate the whole meta shit. I hate being a meta cuck. I hate, like, abusing broken shit when you could just play a single player game with no PvP aspect for fun and play it how you want to. That's how I like to play the game, because there's no reason to abuse broken shit and then, oh wow, this is so boring. Well, just don't play it then. Play something that you think is fun. That's the whole point of a video game, right? So let me get out of here. Quick little showcase. I'll probably add some other footage too, maybe to open up, maybe to close. But what's gonna happen is that Void Knight also gets another ailment, but it doesn't really seem like an ailment. A lot of people underutilize Future Strike, right? So Future Strike does a base 60 void damage after 2 seconds as one big hit, but it counts as a dot. So all of a sudden, we have our Disintegrating Aura that we are already scaling our primary damage. Then we're going to scale Future Strike. Now, the thing about Future Strike, no cap. Think of it like Bleed or Poison, where it really scales with your attack speed infinitely, right? So, like, you're going to get absolutely insane damage numbers because, at least when I hit the training dummies, and I'll show you in a second here. But like the damage numbers, and again, I know it's the training dummies, but the thing is the way I think they display the future strike damage is that when you get a lot of, like, let's say you get 10 stacks, I feel like it shows the 10 stacks at once. And remember, as a dot build, we're going to have 3 disintegrating auras that are going to overlap every time we utilize hammer throw. We have the additional projects here. That's 4, but we get the half projects when we use spiral, and we do use spiral. We do not go with hammer vortex to follow us because there's really no need to. We have exceptional clear, which I'll talk about in a bit. But I really want to emphasize the core aspect of the build, which is dots, right? It's going to be damage over time and void damage. So let's go. The actual build for bossing, I use Abyssal Echoes, but for general mapping, I just put Lunge in there unspec'd because a little bit faster, right? So we get our Devouring Orb up. We get Nether Coating from this, but we also get on hit from Idol. Hopefully get a better Idol down the line. But what's going to happen is that we start having... I don't know why I can't see the tooltip. See, okay, this one hopefully works. We'll Abyssal Echoes. We'll do this, right? And then you're going to see a huge damage burst. You see, like, these ridiculous, like, 100k numbers. And we can't really tell exactly what it is, but if you look at the procs correctly and you see the Future Strike, like those stacks coming off, that's a huge chunk of damage. And also we have Doom on hit from Siphon, which is another Void Dot, which is massive, right? So this is really a must-have unique. I'm not a big person when it comes to uniques. I want to give you guys build that aren't unique reliant, so you have like a little bit more flexibility when it comes to actually building your character. But that's really the core of the build, and you'll see like... I can't do a boss right now, but I'll upload a boss clip as I'm talking, and I'll cut this background and get my face out of there. You can see the boss, how fast it is, whether it was Lagon or maybe somebody else, but the damage is disgusting. This damage is actually more broken than my experience with Falconer at this point in level with gear, and more broken than Warlock. Yes, it is that crazy. Time Rot, Future Strike, and Disintegrating Aura are nuts. Even with Time Rot at 12 stacks, it is still crazy damage. Like, even the training dummy, like, I don't have my Warlock here, but, like, when you actually use all your cooldowns and you're using everything, like, the damage is just, like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's actually crazy. And not only is the damage nuts, but all of a sudden you have the awesome mobility from Void Knight, you have the great skills from Void Knight, and you get to completely ignore the Sigil playstyle. Mana issues, no mana issues. Mobility, you have a lot of innate mobility from Orb, and you have a lot of mobility just from going Void Knight. Additionally, the big benefit of this is that we don't have to waste 15 points going into Paladin. We're still going to go into Paladin and Forge Guard a little bit eventually, but the Void Knight tree for our build is nuts. We really want to go heavy into Void Knight, Future Strike, Leech, the Flat Void, the Health, the Resist, the mana regen, the Echo Chance. Void Aegis is huge. Increased health, that is massive. Like, there's so much stuff that we want to go here that we're going to utilize, and we can actually do that, and we don't compromise anything because we don't need to go 15 in Paladin to get sigils. We don't need to get Heaven Fire because we don't care about spell damage. Disintegrating Aura does not scale with spell damage. Void and increases with Void. What does that do? Now our gearing is super simple. Increases the void damage and damage over time. We don't care about crit. We don't care about any other stuff. We don't care about spell damage, dot, and void damage. And then, a little bit of flat throwing is good all around too. But just testing in general, I've used different pieces. Void damage and dot combination versus like dot and throwing damage. The void and dot will be better in general. The increases, right? Without compared to just a flat. Just because the throwing damage isn't going to affect our Future Strike and our Time Rot, and it's not going to affect our Doom procs either. So that's really talking about the core of the build. I know, like, I'm not saying the training dummy damage is accurate. It's not. But you'll see, like, if you play this build and you see some clips, like, it gets really nutty that, like, I'll be hitting Arcane Mages for 40Ks. And, it's disgusting. This build is so goddamn good, and I'm using one unique without the legendary potential, and I'm using set items, and You know, from what I read, everybody like, oh, sets suck, sets suck. Okay, they might, but like, hey, like, at least for this type of build, it's pretty damn good. I am gonna replace all this eventually, except maybe the shield. I might just keep the shield as a one off, but we'll see about that. So why do we do so much damage? How come nobody else plays this build? Well, I feel like people just don't really understand how good this shit actually is. Now, when we talk about increases more and flat added damage, there's a lot of good articles on there. The game guide has a whole thing on it right here. Very, very good. Now, the big benefit of a Void Knight is enemies getting that multiplier, taking increased damage, which is massive because that happens as one of the last calculations in our damage multiplier. I don't know if they talk about it here in the game guide, but pretty much like you have these calculations, you do one more calculation for the total increase that the enemy is going to take. And what do you get as a Void Knight? Absolutely disgusting benefits. When you cast Volatile Reversal, you're going to summon a Void Rift when you from the location you land and the location you leave from, the way I spec it. Enemies are going to take 30% increased void damage, but they're not going to take that. They're actually going to take 90% increased void damage because we are a dot focus build. So our 3 primary damage sources, well 4 if you count Doom, hey Fiona, my dog. You have your Future Strike, which is a dot ailment. Abyssal Echoes if you cast that, but the damage of Abyssal sucks. We use that for other methods I'll talk about in a second here. But your Future Strike, your Time Rot, and your Disintegrating Aura. And your Disintegrating Aura, you're gonna have 3 hammers every attack, right? So it's just it's so goddamn good. Like, you guys see how ridiculous the damage is, and as a Void Knight, we're gonna be super tanky. So Volatile Reversal gives us 90 multiplier at the end of the damage calculation. What does Abyssal Echoes do? Another 24%. Not only that, but we get Nether Coating, which is huge. And then we also get some Shred. A little bit increased duration. We get Blind, increase our defenses. And then we get a nice little bit of attack speed, which is nice too. But, you know, for general mapping, you don't really need to use this. You can just use Lunge, Monolith a little bit faster. And then we get Anomaly. Anomaly is disgusting. One of the best abilities in the game. You get the time bubble on you. Get the max duration, so you get 100% uptime on this with a little bit of CDR. I do have CDR on something over here, the helmet. This helmet's great for us. And then also you can get inspiration on kill with void skills, so that'll always be up there in mapping. And back to Anomaly, but like, it's just crazy. Now you have another 100% increased damage taken at the end of the damage calculation. Like, it's just crazy. When you really think about this, you got around a 10-second cooldown with inspiration. Now, one more point in this, you pretty much gonna have 100% uptime. Like, you just sit there in the same spot, you get your time bubble, you get your Volatile Reversal, your Void Rift from the reversal hits, then you get Abyssal Echoes, get your Nether Coating, max out your Time Rot chance. And I know you're probably thinking, oh, well, Mo, like, a lot of the Time Rots on melee, we don't really care because you can get plenty of Time Rot. Not even talking about the set pieces, because that's not the end game variant. Just get Time Rot on an idol. This the Grand Idol or Ornate is massive. You get up to 30% here, and then Nether Coating is 45%. And the thing about Time Rot is that unlike the other ailments, we don't need super high chance to inflict Time Rot on hit because it caps at 12. We're gonna hit that cap reliably with our good attack speed, and then having 3 hammers every cast or attack. So it's a very, like, you really only need a 33% chance to really get a 100% chance to trigger Time Rot, right? So that's why it's so good. Talk about that. We also get a Time Rot stack here. Very, very good. And then Devouring Orb. This is not too mandatory, but what this does, because another big weakness when it comes to hammers is that the map clear sucks. You stand still while casting. You know, we don't have that fast attack speed. You lunge around, and it takes a while, right? Like, you know, sometimes the enemies will flow through, they'll go in and out, they might avoid the hammer, they won't avoid the aura because the aura is very, very, very good, but there's some times where, like, people, like, there's some stragglers in the map, right? Devouring Orb, besides giving us a huge more damage multiplier, gives a little bit more mana regen, we get a little bit overall speed, attack, cast, movement speed, which is huge, It orbits us. We get 100% uptime on this with the increased duration over here. And what it really does is gives this insane map clear. So this is not the auto bomber, but what's going to happen is that, and let me just do another map real quick. The insane map clear really is going to come from the Devouring Orb. So it's just really, really, really crazy how good this shit is. Like, all you have to do is press 2 buttons while mapping. Let me switch to lunge. And that's really it. Like, I can cast 1 hammer a pack, which normally is not the case. Like, I played bleed hammers during whatever, but you see that. Alright, well, that's a tankier dude, so he didn't die, but, you know. With some good procs here, like, you just kill everything in 1 or 2 casts. Like, the tankier rares, that was just 1 hammer throw cast, right? And they're dead. So, like, the clear is nuts. There's not a lot of density in this map, so it's not a good showcase, which is a little bit of a shame. I really do wish last Epoch would just overall increase the density a crap ton. And I know that would affect drop rates and stuff like that, but I feel like they could just balance that out where, like, hey, let's reduce drop rates a little bit, but increase density so we can get those real nice, juicy explodes, get that real satisfying map clear that we all want in our action RPGs. But, ooh, nah. If it was 2 Lego, I would go for it. But yeah, pretty much, like, it's kind of just crazy how ridiculous the damage is. The map clear is super good, and I'm sorry that this is an awful showcase, but I don't know. I guess I can't get a monolith that has like good density. Like, look at that, like going 10 seconds with one mob. Kind of sad, but oh well. But pretty much you get your Devouring Orb up. You try to get your time bubble up as much as possible. You really don't need it, but it's just really, really insanely good. And, like, it's super safe. You have massive leech. I died 1 time on this freaking character, and that was to Lagom, because I just stood there during his wave beam. But, like, look at that. We get ambushed, we just don't care. Like, alright, man. Like, I cast 3 hammers, and it just cleared everything. That 1 hammer is still clear. Ooh. Smoke. It's just nuts, man. Like, I really think this is an underrated build, and this might be one of the best ways to build Hammer Throw, because you don't have to deal with Sigils of Hope. I hate dealing 35 mana cost. Like, even with the reduced mana efficiency, I played the bleed version in Psych in the beta. It just feels so bad. It feels so goddamn bad, guys. Like, nobody wants to stop every 15 seconds or whatever and to recast your 3-4 Sigils of Hope stack. It feels terrible. So, ooh, let me go to this mage real quick and you'll see, like, how stupid the damage is. And the damage would be a lot better without, what's it called? Lunge. But we'll just combo right here. And just 2 hammers and he dies. Like, you get a little 10k there. I didn't get the combo good because he dashed out of the hammers, but it's disgusting. It really is crazy. Like, I'll try to show, I'll end the video with, like, one of the boss clips where I was, like, level 70 or 60 going against one of the monolith bosses, but that's really it for the video. Like, the power of enemies taking more damage is just, it's really, really crazy, guys. Like, really give this shit a chance. Like, I guarantee you, like, if you don't like the hammer playstyle, if you're like, well, I want to throw hammers, but I don't want just to throw hammers just to utilize smite as my primary source of damage. I want to be a hammer guy, but I don't want to be a spellcaster. This is the way for you, right? This build has a lot of potential. I'm actually, once I'm off tomorrow in the next couple of days, I'm going to push the hell out of this build and try to get to like 95 and get some actual high corruption to where my Shaman and Warlock was. Not so much my Falconer, because I didn't really have a lot of fun with that. But Mozu and Negron Tech here. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll leave a link to the build guide, the last Epoch tools. But very, very, very simple. Heavily invested to Void Knight. So many good nodes here. And then pretty much we utilize the full power of a Void Knight. And again, like, talking about the thematics, we are a Void Knight. I don't want to go into Paladin crap. I don't want to go into Forge Guard stuff. I just want to be everything Void reliant and utilize all the aspects of it. I will release a more in-depth video that explains really, really in-depth about how everything works. But really what's going to happen is that, again, Void damage, damage over time, and that's it. The Void damage over time is going to help us with the spells that we do use a little bit, but it's just going to multiply that Future Strike, Time Rot, and Disintegrating Aura, and Doom 2. So that's it. Mozu and Negron Tech. Please leave a comment if you guys have anything, you know, to say about it. If you see what you're doing, see if anybody in the past has done a Disintegrating Aura build that's different than mine. I would love to know. see what changes I can make to really push it. But I think this build has absolutely tremendous potential, and a lot of people are underlooking GIGAHAMMERS when it comes to the Void Knight variant. Moser with Negron Tag, have a good one.
This hate, this despair, oblivion burns within me. This world violates changes and do they deny it? This world